I kind of enjoy it myself. And a lot of people try to figure out ways they can cut the cord from cable and that sort of situation. That's not what this product is all about. The reason why I got interested in it because I like to get local on-air TV, but since we've gone digital, unless you put a really good antenna on your roof, you're going to get a lot of pixelation every now and then, and it really drives me nuts. So this company called Aerial came out with this product where they're pulling in local TV in certain areas of the country right now that you'll be able to see for a monthly fee. So they put up the antenna for you, you pull the signal over the internet, and you get a nice, clean, crisp, clear signal regularly all the time. I don't think I've ever had a chance of pixelation so far, and I've been doing this for about 3 months. Remember that you're getting on-the-air TV. So there's still commercials. It's like everything you would normally get over an antenna, you're just getting it on the internet. The other plus to it is that you can look at it anywhere. So you can look at it on your iPad, on your computer. You can look at it on your telephone. You can look at it on your big TV if you if you hook up AirPlay through your Apple TV, you can pick it up that way as well. So that's the big way to it. The other thing that comes along with it, and there's a fee for it, it's $8 a month, and you also get DVR services with it. So you're doing everything in the cloud. They even have the DVRs up in the cloud. So you can go ahead and record up to 20 hours of programming per month, and 20 hours of programming using the DVR that comes with the $8 purchase. You spend another $4, they give you 60 hours of DVR that you can use. And it works really good. Basically, let's see. Put it up on the screen.
I just brought up the website, but I'll go back to the iPad.
Okay. Whatever way you want to do it.
Go for it.
Okay, so for example, over here on this side is your guide. And these are all your local stations in your area. Now, you can pick all this programming that's on here. So it's 2, 4, 7, 50, and then the rest of the other ones, the side channels that they have as well. And you can pick a show that you want to look at. For example, I'm a big This Old House guy. So if I click right here and then I push this button that says watch, and you wait about a minute or so or less, and eventually it will come up on the screen here. And you can do this either over your Wi-Fi or you can use your cellular. Then you press right there for start. And shortly, there you go, it starts to play for you.
Sorry, I didn't have the speaker plugged in.
Okay.
Exactly. Have a look.
So now you got
full bathroom
regular
on the second
TV,
floor of
so
the
if you're in
owner's
your
unit. You can't step on
backyard,
this.
you can take your
It's just off the
iPad,
kid's
get your
bedroom.
Wi-Fi, or
And
your
now this is
telephone,
surprising.
whatever,
You
you
have
can watch your
laid
local
out
TV
the
show.
entire
Now, in
time.
addition to
Right.
that, it
Why'd
also
you do
gives you
that?
the benefit.
To follow the pattern that was given by the
Wrong button.
Let's see, let's go down.
All right. It also gives you the benefit of being able to pause video. I'll let it get, it's buffering probably right now. There we go. So you also have the ability to pause the video, and you can say, oh, what did you do with that hammer just now? You can scrub backwards, hit play again, and it'll replay just like you can do with any other DVR. So you can back it up, take it forward, and that sort of thing. In addition to while you're watching the show right now, you can be recording other shows at the same time. So yesterday, I was watching a show, and then up here at this tab, I was recording a show. So I recorded This Old House episode yesterday, and I recorded Star Trek yesterday, so I can come in and say, I want to see this episode of Star Trek now. And then it starts up and it'll get going shortly here. Sorry, touched it too quick.
It's playing, it's just taking a second for the AirPlay to catch up.
Now, if you notice down here on the bottom, underneath the screen, you'll see a little box that says low, medium, high, and auto. And what you can do is that depends on what sort of bandwidth that you're getting at that particular time. So if you want to optimize how your viewing's going to do, if you know you're on a slow connection, use the low setting, medium or high, depending on what type of connection you have. Or you can sit on auto and it'll just automatically pick it for you and run it whichever way it needs to be ran. You can go in and customize your guides so that if you don't normally look at all these stations, you can just pick out the ones that you want and only have those on your particular guide as well. And it allows you to store, like I said, up to 20 hours of DVR, or you can get 60 hours of DVR storage for $4 more. It literally will look at where you're at. So if you're out of your viewing area, legitimately you're not supposed to be able to look at these shows. But sometimes on my phone, when I connect, my cellular service may be coming out of a different area than my viewing area. They have a little disclaimer on there that says, if you're outside, you're truly in your viewing area at this time, say yes or no. And you say yes, and then it'll automatically start showing you all your content that you want to be able to see. So it's just another alternative of something you can use to look at television with. It works out pretty good for me, and I just wanted to let everybody else know about it.
Cool. Are you open for questions?
Sure, I'll make up answers.
All right. So I just want to clarify one point, is that he's running this on his iPad, but he's not running an app. He's actually running it in Safari on the iPad. So he's using just a regular web browser. Same thing on the phone.
Gary,
Yeah.
that volume on the PA system is uncomfortably loud back here. It sounds like we're at a rock concert.
Okay.
Somebody turn down the gain.
It would have to be done in that room right there, and I don't see the guy who normally does it, but if you want to,
Talking, or you just, it's booming here with an echo.
if you want to run back there and ask the guy to turn it down, he'll turn it down for you.
In the meantime, I'll talk lower.
And I'll move it further away.
Thank you.
Okay, so first thing is running a web browser, and you didn't talk about the cost. So you said there's a monthly cost.
Yeah, there's a monthly cost of $8 a month for the service, and that'll give you 20 hours of DVR time. If you want to increase that by 3 times more DVR space, it's $4 more, so it'd be $12 a month.
Okay.
Are there legal issues? I think they're in court right now trying to get this service blocked from some of the different TV companies are objecting to it.
The cable providers and some of the networks are objecting to it because they're saying that they shouldn't be able to rebroadcast their signal, but they're not rebroadcasting the signal for one. And second of all, they're just providing a service of an antenna that's basically centrally located that you can use. In addition to that, if you reference back to their position is if you reference back to some of the FCC rulings, that's free airspace out there, and all they're doing is capturing a signal that's floating through free air.
And I just wondered where they were at on that.
So far, they have not lost one case yet, and things seem to be going just fine for them. I know they're going to be going to the Supreme Court soon, but at this point, they have not had any problems so far. Because the biggest thing is that the networks are really upset about it because they charge the cable companies to carry their programming, which in turn you pay for as well. And so because it's free airspace, if you weren't getting it through a cable company or over the internet, you'd be getting it anyway. So the contention is it's out there and it's available as long as you're not selling it to someone. And they're not selling the programming, they're selling a service.
Yeah, you can try it free for 30 days. I've done that, tried for it for a number of months, and it works on its own.
Yeah, that's the other thing I forgot to tell you. You can subscribe to it for 30 days for free, try it out. If you like it, you can continue the service. If you decide you don't, you can just kill it. You're not on a contract, it's month to month. You can start it and stop it anytime you want.
His reading is fully human. What is there, an echo in here?
Any other questions?
Emotional presence, Captain.
Well, you've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
All right. Alrighty, thanks again, Calvin, for volunteering to do a demo. That's always appreciated. And always great to see another presenter's perspective on something that I had never heard of Aerial before 20 minutes ago. So it's great to see another product. All right, and if there are no further questions for Calvin, looks like there aren't, we're going to go ahead and jump into phase 2, which is the tips and tricks portion of the meeting. So I have some Mac tips and I have some iOS tips. And I looking at my notes, I was trying to decide which ones I'm going to go first with. The Mac ones are listed first, so those are the ones I'll do first. All right, any Mac users here? Just curious. All right. So many of the tips I will cover are like applicable through different versions of the OS. So even though I'm on Mavericks, and maybe you're on Mountain Lion or Lion or one of the previous ones, a lot of these tips will still work on the previous versions. And I can no longer remember when a feature came out in a specific version of the OS. So if I mention something and it's not in your OS, I apologize. I don't remember when it came out. But what my first tip, and this is something that Apple does automatically when you connect your computer up to a projector, because they assume you're giving a presentation and you don't want to be bothered by notifications. But in the upper right-hand corner is your notification center. That's what this little menu is for, if you've got this in your OS. And the minute I plugged in this cable to the projector, it went gray, meaning Apple muted it for me so that I won't get notifications while I'm presenting. Great idea. But what if you're not connected to a projector and you are in the middle of something, you're in the middle of work, you're showing somebody something, you just don't want all the pop-ups to come up while you're working or while you're trying to show somebody something at your screen. You can mute the notification center on your own without having to be connected to a projector. So if you just hold down your Option key on your Mac and click this menu, it'll go gray. So you've just muted it yourself. So now you won't get any pop-up notifications anymore until you either unmute it, reboot, or the next day. Because the next day they just kick in automatically and start over again. So if you want to temporarily pause all the little, hey, you got a new email, hey, someone sent you an iMessage, hey, you don't want those popping up while you're working, you can temporarily mute it. If I pull this open, and that's what the do not disturb is. So holding down the Option key turned on the do not disturb. That's what that was for. And so it's just listing notifications here for calendar and mail and so forth and so on. You also notice that there's a Twitter button. You will also see Facebook and I believe LinkedIn now and a couple of others. Because those are, if you have those accounts enabled, you will be able to tweet or post a Facebook status or do whatever social networks you've got configured there right from this menu. So if I wanted to compose a tweet right now, I can just pop up Twitter, compose my tweet, and send it. Here, I'll do it. Here we'll do a hashtag, MacGroup meeting today, and send. So that tweet got sent without me having to launch Twitter, launch a web browser, do anything specific. Now, the question becomes, well, where's Facebook? Where are the other ones? Let's go look. If you go into your, and this is one of my tips further down, but if you go into your system preferences right here, there is this fairly new system preference called Internet Accounts. That might have been named something else earlier, but it's been renamed Internet Accounts. And what this will let you do is go in and configure all your various, it used to be just for email. So it would let you configure your Gmail, your Yahoo Mail, so forth and so on. But they changed it from your mail preferences to your internet account preferences because now it handles all these other things. So for example, if I say, yep, I want to add in a MacGroup Facebook account, then I would put in my login for Mac Group Facebook, and then it would show up in the list, and then it would show up in the notification center to post status updates. So when you do it here at the OS level, everything that can share to Facebook that Apple makes will see Facebook and be able to share to it. So let's say I'm in iPhoto and I want to share a photo on Facebook. Because I set it up here, iPhoto now knows I can share on Facebook. So that's what this is for. This is like your central station for setting up all your internet accounts for all the sharing you want to do across your Mac. So you set it up here one time, you don't have to worry about setting it up in every single application. All right, so you can see the ones here, iCloud obviously, Microsoft Exchange, Google, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Yahoo, AOL, Vimeo, Flickr, and you can even add other custom kinds of accounts. Nope, Dropbox is not integrated with this. Still need the Dropbox app for that. Okay, here's another one just off the top of my head, which most of these tips, by the way, are off the top of my head. Sometimes my menu bar gets too long with all of these little icons now that are showing up here from various applications that put a little menu up there. You mentioned Dropbox, so I don't know if I've got Dropbox configured on this account, but if had I had Dropbox, oh, there it is. Dropbox puts their menu up there. So everybody puts a little menu up there nowadays. So I'm thinking, I don't want to take anything off. I just wish it were shorter sometimes because I can't see everything depending on the application I'm in. Well, you'll notice that the date and time here, and that's probably the longest item. So it'd be great if I could shorten that. So if I pull this down and say view maybe just temporarily as analog, that will just drop it down to just show me an analog clock and make that much, much shorter. So I still see the time. I can probably guess what day it is. And if I ever need it back, I can switch back to digital. And that'll put the whole thing back. And you can go further into your date and time preferences and turn on and off specific things. So for example, if I can look out the window and know if it's day or night, I really don't need to show AM or PM. I can figure that out. I'm thinking it's 3:33 PM without even a second guess, not AM. So turn on and off the things you don't want to save time. The other thing while we're here, it's kind of neat, announce the time on the hour. So this is just kind of one of those things where it will just every hour say, hey, it's 4 PM. And it's kind of nice to have that in the background when you're busy or doing something so you don't lose track of time. Just letting you know on the hour what hour it is. Okay, while we're here, if you're on a desktop computer, probably not that big of a deal because your desktop computer stays in one location all the time. But if you are on a portable, a MacBook Pro or MacBook Air or MacBook, and you're taking it around from state to state, city to city while you're traveling, under the, let's see where it is. Can't remember if it's, yeah, it's under time zone. Under time zone, you can say set this time zone automatically. And what that means is when you connect your MacBook to the internet, wherever you land or drive to or take a train to, and the minute you connect to the internet, it'll know where you are based on the internet address you're getting and set the clock appropriately to that time zone. So like I'm going to California tomorrow, and I don't ever have to think about changing my computer from Eastern to Pacific time. It'll just do it automatically because I've got this set to change the time zone automatically. So the minute I connect the computer to the internet, a few minutes later, it updates the time.
Terry, there's a little app called Bartender also that will give you a second.
Yep. I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah. But this was a tip that's built in.
You're gonna keep going to the right and change your account icon to?
Am I going to keep going to the right and change? No, I'm not. Yeah, I could. What he's saying is I could go in and change this icon as well to take up less space. But and by the way, while we're at it, the ones that you can, let me back up. The ones that are put up here by the operating system. So, for example, the airport menu, the speaker, those are the ones that Apple put up there, Bluetooth, time machine. If you want to rearrange them, you can hold down your command key and move them around in whatever order you want. And if it's an Apple one, you can hold down the Command key and pull it off the menu bar to get rid of it. It would be the same thing as going into the system preference for that particular one and turning it off. So it's just a quicker way to do it. And of course, date and time set automatically. I don't have to worry about that. Okay, next. While we're talking about the menu bar, while we're up here, one of my favorite tips, and again, this got added maybe 3 operating systems ago or more, is that what I used to go into the system preferences a lot to do, I don't have to anymore because they have enabled a secret thing under the menus. So for example, when you go to your speaker, at first glance, it looks like it just controls volume, right? You slide that up and down to control the volume of the speaker. But if you hold down your Option key, you get more. So now I can tell it to play through the headphone jack or to play out of another set of speakers or whatever. So just by holding down the Option key, I get all of the options that that particular menu can do that would have normally I've had to go to the sound preferences to do. So for example, airport lets me see which networks are available. But if I hold down the Option key, I get a whole bunch more. Get more information about that particular network that I'm on. And let's see, time machine, I don't know if that one doesn't do any more. Bluetooth does more as well. So Bluetooth will let you turn on and off or show more information by holding down the Option key. All right, we did that one, we did that one.
Don't a lot of those show up if you use the right click? 3-button mouse.
I'm using right click now and it's not. Yep. So, no, Option click. All right, but speaking of right click, now we're going to do some right click tips. So right click, first of all, comes from the original 2-button mice. It would be, if you had 2 buttons, the left button is regular click, the right button would be right click. That's why it's called right click. And Apple enabled right click if you just plug in a 2-button mouse years ago, that it does contextual menus. It used to be what you would hold down the control key for and click. That would bring up a contextual menu. But 2-button mouse does right click. However, all of Apple's mice to date have only had 1 button, including trackpads. Trackpads have 1 button. So how would you do a right click on an Apple branded mouse or trackpad? Well, number 1, it's usually in the system preferences. So if you go to the preferences for that device, for example, for trackpad, I can say whether or not I want a second, they don't call it right click. Apple, of course, has to call it something different. They call it secondary click. So when I use 2 fingers on the trackpad, that's the same thing as doing a secondary or right click. And I've got that turned on. That is usually, I believe, off by default when you get a new device, new trackpad. So if I just click once on the desktop, nothing happens because I'm not pointing at anything. It doesn't click on anything right now because there's nothing there to click on. But if I put down 2 fingers and click, I get contextual menu. So that's the same thing as doing a right click. Now, the right click example I was going to give here is that when you do it on the desktop, meaning nothing, no folder, no application, no icon, you get this menu, which lets you quickly change your desktop picture. So if you were bored with your desktop picture and you want to get to the system preference that lets you quickly change your desktop picture, just right click on the desktop and say change desktop picture and go pick the one you want. And it takes you right to it. So that's the whole point of a secondary or right click, is that it lets you get a menu to quickly do things that would take multiple steps. For example, let me grab, let me go to the documents folder here. Let me open that one up. Let's say that I'm getting tired of all of these things being loose in my documents folder and I want to put them, I don't even know what that is. Let me go. I want to put them, oh, let's undo. Time for a tip. I want to throw that item away. And instinctively, because this is the way I would do it, instead of me dragging it and finding the trash and putting it in, I wanted to throw it away, so I just, on my keyboard, Command Delete. and that sent it straight to the trash. So Command Delete. What if you did it without looking? By accident. And you're like, oh my God, what was that I just threw away? I heard the sound. Something went in the trash. Undo. So if you move something and drop something in the wrong spot, or you don't remember what it was, or you accidentally did something, more than likely, in the OS, you can undo it. So I just hit Command Z to take it out of the trash and put it right back into that folder. So I can make sure, yep, that was the thing I wanted to throw away. Gone. All right, now back to the right-click examples. Let's say I'm tired of all this stuff being loose, not in folders. So I want to take this PDF, this Pages document, that Pages document, that Pages document, and put them in a folder. Right? Those 4 things. Well, if I take those 4 things, now you would go create the folder, and it would deselect those 4 things, and you would then select the folder, go grab the 4 things again, and drag them into the folder, or right-click on any one of the 4 things you got selected, and say, new folder from those 4 things. Take those 4 things, stick them in a new folder, highlight the name so I can name the folder. Other documents. Done. And those 4 things are now in it. Right clicks, my friend. So, while I'm at it, I don't want to throw these away, but I don't want them taking up any extra space. So I want to zip them, compress them. Right click, compress 3 items. Take those 3 items, make them into a zip file, and now I can throw the 3 items away because they are duplicated into that zip file. So, trash, name the zip file, miscellaneous pages, documents. If I want those 3 things back, what do? Unzip. How do I unzip? Double click. And those are my 3 things now in that miscellaneous folder document. Which I still have the zip, so I can still throw away the folder.
Hey, Jerry,
Yes.
is there a way to view the zip without unzipping it?
Is there a way to view the zip without unzipping it? I don't know of a way, is there?
I was just curious.
Oh. I'm trying to think something, it's weird. You can in iOS. Because I received a zip attachment. And I was like, how am I going to unzip this on my phone, even though I do have an unzip app. But I just tapped it, and it showed me what was in it. And I was able to drag the stuff right out of it. So in iOS, they let you do that. But in macOS, I don't know of a way to preview what's inside without actually unzipping.
There are third-party tools that do it, but I don't think there's any built in.
Okay, so there are probably apps or utilities that will let you do it.
Can you search the computer for zip files?
Sure, you can search the computer for anything. So you can search the contents of the zip file. Again, I don't think those results will show up in what's the thing called? Spotlight. I could be wrong unless someone corrects me. I don't think they show up once they're zipped in, and especially once I empty the trash and they're gone. Okay, where was I going next? While we're in this, well, let me see if I have any more right-click ones. Oh, yeah, one more right-click one. Let's say I want to share this PDF. I want to email it. I want to iMessage it. I want to just share it. So, obviously, launch mail, create a new email, drag it in, right? Or right-click, share, email. What do you think that's going to do? Everything I just said is going to do it for me. It's going to launch mail, create the new message, and throw it in there. Ready to go. So, saving me, yes, I know, I haven't changed the password, yes, I know. Saving me those steps. Right clicks your friend, secondary clicks your friend. All right, and there are other sharing options. So if I right click, go to share, I can put in messages or AirDrop. How many of you don't know what AirDrop is? Because if everyone knows, I won't waste time. Okay, what's AirDrop? AirDrop was added in, I don't know, again, I can't remember, let's say Lion. So I think it's at least that old. It's this little icon that shows up over here on your left-hand side. Jack or someone from the Genius table, can you indulge me? All right, so if I click on that, or here, let me bring up another window. New Finder window. All right, if I click on AirDrop, it will show me any computers nearby that also have they've clicked on AirDrop. I don't have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. I do have to have Wi-Fi running, but I don't have to be on a network. I don't have to be on a Wi-Fi network at all. It uses peer-to-peer. So Jack's there. I can now take that PDF, drag it on top of him. It's going to ask me to make sure that I didn't accidentally drag something I didn't want to send him. Yes. If he accepts it, because he's going to get a pop-up saying, hey, Terry White's trying to send you a PDF. Do you want it? If he accepts it, it's now sending him wirelessly that PDF to his downloads folder or wherever he saves it.
Is that going on, since you said you don't have to have Wi-Fi?
You have to have Wi-Fi on. You don't have to be on a network.
So it doesn't go by Bluetooth?
You have to have Wi-Fi on. It doesn't have to be connected to a Wi-Fi network. So it uses peer-to-peer over Apple's wireless connections. All right, so that is AirDrop. So that's what that third option, share via AirDrop, it just would have brought me to this window and let me send it to someone who has AirDrop. The minute you close an AirDrop window or go to a different folder, AirDrop's no longer open, so my computer will eventually, in a second or two, disappear from everyone's list. So AirDrop is only active when you actually click on it. The minute you click out of it, it's no longer active. So you're not broadcasting your computer the whole time. Okay. What's next? Apple's had this love-hate relationship with the library folder for some reason. For some reason, Apple wants to protect that one folder from you getting into it. Although you can get into things that can do a lot more damage, but the library folder, hands off, unless you know how to get to it. So where is the library folder? Where did it used to be, or on older operating systems? Okay, it used to be in your users folder. So you would have a folder in here called library. And what's in the library folder? It's primarily all the applications you have, their preferences, their settings, the things that the applications themselves use that are based on your user account. So, I don't know why that one particular folder is so hidden, but they hide it. So what are various ways I can get it back? There are a few. And there's a newer way too that I do remember it now. Okay, so my favorite way is, I don't care that it's hidden because I'm not in it every day. I don't care one way or the other as long as I can get to it quickly when I want to get to it. So if I go to my Go menu, it's not there. If I hold down my Option key and go to my Go menu, it's there. So whenever I want to get to the library menu, or library, Go, library, I'm in it. I don't care if it's hidden. I don't care if it's turned off, turned on, whatever. There's a button, I'm sure, somewhere that says mute on that device. Okay, anyway. My library, my preferences, all the different applications that have their preferences, cookies and caches and things that are here. That's why you would want to get to it, is to usually throw something away or add something in. The applications can automatically install what they need into it, but if you ever need to get to the library folder, that's a quick way to do it. Now let's say you want it there all the time. You're stubborn. You're saying, no, Apple, don't hide things from me. I want my library folder there from here on out. Well, in Mavericks, latest updates, they gave you a way to put it back, finally. So go to your home folder where it should be, which is right here, and hit Command J. That will show you your preferences for your Finder preferences for this folder. And because you're in the home folder, you can now say, show library folder. They now made it so you don't have to have a hack or a terminal or anything weird to turn it back on. You can just check it. So they're trusting you again to be able to see your own library folder if you want it. And again, I don't care because I can get to it quickly when I want to. But that's how you could turn it on so it's there from now on. Okay. Like I said, I don't really care. Next. Oh, this is actually one of my favorites. Let's go to, all right, let me first go back to documents. Let me unzip those pages. Oh, wrong one. Didn't really mean to do that one, this one. All right, let me unzip those pages, documents, and put them back. And now I'm going to go to pages. Are you here? No, I don't see you. Pages. So I'm going to launch pages. Yes, I know you've been updated with lots of cool things. And pages opens and it says, okay, do you want to open a document or do you want to create a new one? The document I want to open, I'm looking at it, it's right there. It's right on the right hand side in that folder. Right there. But it's not showing up over here. Now obviously I could have double clicked on it in the first place. And it would open pages and open up the document. But what if you're already here? You're already in this spot where you're saying, oh, I went to the open dialog box and I see it, but I don't want to have to navigate to it over on the left-hand side. Well, one of my favorite, this is a long-standing old Mac OS tip, is if you just drag whatever you want to open or navigate to into this window, it'll take you right to it. So if you can see it, drag it into the open window or the save window or the whatever window you're in your application, and it'll navigate to that spot so that you can just go ahead and open it. And like I said, obviously double click would have opened it in the first place. Okay, next. And by the way, speaking of that, let me go back to that again. Let's say you're in the process of doing a save. Or in this case, since we don't really have a save as, let's do see if this will do what I want. No, I don't want to do that either. Stupid not having a save as. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So I want to save this document with a name that I've already used. In other words, I want to replace one of my other documents. Or maybe I just want the same name and I'm going to save it to a different location. So it's not replacing it, but I want the same name that I've used before. Maybe I want it to be this HSNL Other Pictures Pages document. That's the name I want to use. Obviously, I can see it and start typing it. There's a quicker way to get that name to be the name that it's going to use. Just click on it. Now it's going to rename this document that I'm saving that same name. And if I save it to the same place, then it'll ask to replace it. If I navigate to a different place, I'm saving it the same name in a different place. So when you want a name that you can see in the same window, just click the name and it'll populate it for you so you don't have to type it. And now you're replacing that document with that same name. Okay, next. Oh, while I'm there, open. Have you ever been in a program and you're opening and you see a bunch of documents, you don't remember which one's which by the names? Like, you know, oh, which one of these is the one that has the logo in it that I want? I don't remember. Well, rather than opening up each one and closing it to see if it's the one you really want, Quick Look works in the open dialog box. So if I wanted to see what this one is, if it's Quick Look aware, and I hit the space bar, it'll show it to me. Nope, that's not the one I want. Ah, that's the one I want. Ah, that's just like the one I want. And if I just use the up and down arrow keys while I'm in Quick Look, it'll just navigate that window, showing me every single thing in there to make sure it's the one I want to open. So Quick Look works in your open dialog box. You guys are awfully quiet. Are you liking these tips or not? Okay. I see some people writing, I see some people being quiet.
Or you can just select the one you think it is and scroll through those.
True. What he's saying, that's a bonus tip. If you command click the individual ones you want, now when you quick look, you're only quick looking those. Actually, in this case, it didn't work, but that should work. All right.
Instead of up and down keys, you hit the right left.
There's a caveat to his tip. Yes, he's right. Left and right arrow keys with only the ones you've selected will toggle you through those while you're in quick look.
If you have 3, it doesn't make much difference. If you have 100 things in it.
Yes. 3 is quick, but if you have hundreds, it's much easier. Speaking of which, let's see, do we have anything with hundreds? Yeah, we got hundreds in there. While you're looking for something, the folder will be organized, I think by default, with whatever you had it on last. So in this case, it looks like it's by name. You can change that while you're in here. You could say, no, show me date modified. Show me the last thing I added, because more than likely I'll put it at the top. And that way I can just quickly get to the last thing I put in that folder. Name, icon, column view. So you can do a lot of this while you're in an open and save dialog box to just quickly see the folder in a different way. All right. Did that. Okay. New things. Now this one is new in Mavericks. And that is the, remember back in the old days, you'd go up to the Apple menu and you'd go to software update and it'd bring up the little software update window and show you what updates you have and you can install them if you want. Well, the menu command is still there, but software updates in at least the last 2 OSs, I believe, have moved to the Mac App Store app. So instead of it being its own software update app, it's now just a part of Mac App Store. So if I do software updates, it's going to launch the App Store. And then take me to the Updates tab of the App Store to show me any system updates I have or any app updates I need. And I don't have any, but I did them all. And that's cool. If there was like a new iTunes update, which just came out recently, which I've already done, or a new whatever update, they would be there and I can go ahead and install them just like you always did. However, I guess I've been more trusting of Apple's updates than some, and I can't remember a time when an update came out that I didn't do it. In other words, an update comes out, I want to update it. Now, of course, there have been scenarios where every company makes a software version of or an update that's screwed up and they want to quickly fix it, but they haven't fixed it yet, so they're telling everyone don't update. That could happen with anything. But more than likely, or more times than not, I've just wanted to go ahead and do the update. So what they built in now in Mavericks is if you go to your system preferences and you go to App Store, you can now say not only automatically check for updates, but you can say download newly available updates in the background, install app updates, and install system data files and security updates. And this one, automatically download apps automatically download apps purchased on other Macs. So in other words, it'll just do it now. You don't have to check for system updates. It'll just do them. Whenever it checks, probably a couple times a day or once a day at least, sees if there are any system updates, and if it can do it in the background, it will. If it can't, it'll pop up in a little notification on the right-hand side saying, I couldn't restart or I couldn't install this update because you've got something open. Do you want to do it now or later? And if you choose later, you can tell it when later, tonight, whatever. So they've basically been a lot less annoying than back in the days of you having to constantly tell it to do the updates. It'll just do them for you. And of course, if you don't want that, turn it off.
Is that only in Maverick?
I believe this is only a Mavericks, if anyone wants to correct me.
In iOS 7.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about on Mac, yes. Mavericks. All right, okay.
And in fact, you'll get a little notification bubble in the upper right-hand corner of your screen when you have updates and problems.
Yep. Okay.
Installing those updates, sometimes you have to turn the computer off or that kind of thing.
Question was, well, some updates require a restart. So what happens then? If your computer is idle, meaning it sees you're not doing anything, it'll reboot it for you. It'll just go ahead and install the update and reboot. If you're in the middle of something, meaning it sees you're working or sees something going on, then it will, as Calvin said, pop up a little notification. Updates are available that require a restart. Do you want to do it now or later? So it will still do it automatically, and I've woke up where my machine has been, I could tell it's been rebooted because it installed updates during the night. Go on.
While we're on the subject of updates, how's Mavericks doing with older machines and software? Are people still having problems? Have you had problems?
I don't run older machines, so
Well, okay, do you know anybody who does? Does anybody here have an older machine try?
anybody running an older machine with Mavericks with problems? What do you call older? How old?
My desktop is a 2009
2009.
MacBook.
Mac Pro. He's on a 2009, no problem, he said. Okay? And what's our advice for people that are unsure if their system, their software will run on the new OS? What do we tell them to do? We tell them to back up anyway, but what do we tell them to do? No, we don't tell them to buy a new machine. What do we tell them to do? Exactly. Set up an external hard drive, clone your hard drive to an external hard drive and install it on that and boot from that. Check everything. If everything works fine, reboot with your regular hard drive and install it. If it doesn't, then you'll know. So that's if I'm unsure of an operating system being compatible with a lot of things, that's the way I always try it first. That way I'll have everything to lose other than the time it took to do the clone and install it on the external hard drive. So that's your get out of jail free card. You don't want to screw up your internal hard drive or you're not sure if it's going to be fast enough or compatible, install it on a backup bootable and test everything, run your apps, make sure everything works. If it does, then you know you can install it on your main drive.
And what's your favorite for cloning?
My favorite for cloning is Short Pocket Software. The other one. Super Duper. That's my favorite. Yeah. There's two, Carbon Copy Cloner and Super Duper. I've been using Super Duper. It's my favorite. All right, I'm going to do a couple Safari tips. Now I know these are not OS specific because I've been doing them for years. First thing, let's say you want a new folder to organize your bookmarks, but you want it on the bookmark bar here. Well, now you can right click and say new folder. So I can say new folder right here, and it'll make a new folder, and I can call that new folder, for example, Mac Group Sites. All right. Then, if I go to a site that I want to put in that folder, like macgroup.org, when that site comes up, there we go. I would just simply drag this little icon, let's just call it favicon or favicon, and drag it right into that folder. And it will ask me if I want to save it. Okay? So then I can populate that folder with all the sites very quickly and easily. Now, that was just simply to show you how to get the folder there and how to put stuff in it. I don't need that folder because I already have one. I have this folder called Daily. And it's got the Mac Group site, the blog, Mac Surfer, Apple, Adobe, my website. And of course, I can pop up the folder and go to any one of those sites and it will load that site, right? What if I want all of them? I want my daily websites open all at the same time. Option click the folder name. I'm sorry, command click the folder name. And that will open them all up in tabs. So I still have the option of going to the individual sites in that folder, or command click the folder to open them all up at the same time. So there's the Mac News Blog, Mac Surfer, Apple, Adobe, Terry White. Okay. What if I want that behavior all the time? Like I don't want to even have to hold down a command key. That's my daily folder. Every time I open up Safari, I want to just click it and have it go to everything. If you right click, you can say, this is a toggle, automatically open in tabs. So now instead of it being a pull down like that folder icon, that's got a little arrow, that's got a little arrow, this one just has a square. That means now you don't have to hold down any keys, you just click it and it's going to open up everything in tabs. Okay? But, because there's always a but. Here, let me do it. So new window, click, done, works. But, what if I want only one? In other words, I only want one thing in that folder. I don't want everything this one time. Then it's the opposite. What did you hold down before to open them all up? Command. Well, now if I only want to open up one, command. Turns it back into a menu while you're holding down command key. Then you can just go to the one you want that one time, and it's still a button. Now, tabs I've been talking about for years. I love tabs. I'm trying to remember what was the first browser that had tab browsing because it won my heart, whatever it was. But whichever one was the first one out that had tab browsing, I was sold. Because that's the way I work. I like to have multiple sites open that I can just click between the tabs. Here, we'll go back to the daily thing. I can just click between the tabs and read whatever information I want and always go back and that site's still open. So tabs have been there for years now. All the major browsers have tabs now. They're even on the OSs now. The mobile devices have tabs now. So what are some tab tips? Number one, if you want to manually create a new tab, obviously there's a button for it right here. The plus tab button will create a new empty tab so you can go to a website in that one tab. I never do it from the button because I just hit Command T whenever I want a new tab for new tab. And that will take me to a new tab on that same window. So for example, I can go to CNN.com. Okay. So that'll take me to the, no, I don't want notifications. Thank you. That'll take me to the CNN website on that tab. Now, what if you want to rearrange the order? Drag. You can rearrange the order of those tabs just by dragging whichever one you want in whatever order you want. What if you want to close a particular tab because you are done with that particular site, you just don't need it open anymore, it's taking up memory. If you hover over the tab, even if it's not a tab in front, it will have a little X next to it and you just close that tab. So that tab is now closed even if you weren't looking at it at any given time. I want to share this website with someone. More importantly, not the whole site. I want to share a particular article. So let's see if we can find an article. Actually, let's do one on the blog. So I did an article last week on 5 easy ways to detect an email phishing scam. Now, obviously, I'm on the entire blog, so this page is listing all the most recent articles. But if I want just that one article, I click on it, obviously, like I want to read it. And now I'm looking at just that one article and not the whole blog. Now I want to share it. Well, the share icon is universal now. It's this little square with a little arrow sticking out of it. And that's share. that will let me share it in messages, share it in AirDrop, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, and more importantly, email this page. That is the one feature of Safari that keeps me still using Safari on occasion. My favorite browser is Chrome, but Safari has this nailed. No other browser does it this well. And what I mean by that is if I say email this page, it will launch a new email, and it will put it in my email, my new email I just created, and I can even display it as the actual page. So I'm emailing someone exactly what I was looking at on the internet.
Does that only work with Apple Mail?
Yep. It's their exclusive, Safari and Apple Mail. You can copy and paste. You can do all kinds of other things into other programs and from other browsers, but nobody does it this good. No two programs work this good.
Which key is that? You click on the article and then what?
You go there in Safari, it is this button right here.
Oh,
Now, what if you're on an older version of Safari that didn't have that share button? It's an old feature, so this was before they had a share button. Command-I. That's worked for years in Safari. Command-I will do the same thing. It'll take the current page of browsing, throw it in a new email. Go ahead, Richard.
Is that the same thing as a choice that says mail contents of this page?
Yes, same exact choice.
And then, but many times when I try that, mail contents of this page, and it opens up a new window and you put in the person's email address, the thing says that this can't be sent, and the only way you can send it is it says mail contents of the page. You have to choose mail a link to this page.
That sounds like a specific issue with either your email provider that you're sending it through or the person you're trying to send it to. Because I've never had that come up.
So I start out trying to send the whole page, but when I can't do it, then I have to mail the link.
Yeah, it could be something weird with that page, that person you're sending to, or who you're sending the email through. It could be any combination of the three. I saw another hand back here before we go to you, Mary. No, Mary?
If you said this and I missed it, my apologies, but once you have a lot of tabs open, you get from one to the other without actually clicking with your mouse.
How can I get from one tab to the other? There's a way to do it.
Just like with an arrow key or?
No, I forgot what it is. There is a way to navigate the tabs without having to use a mouse. Anyone remember the keyboard shortcut for that? Nope. Let's say I want to jump to this tab without actually having to click on it. There was a way to do that, and I don't remember what it is. But I believe there is a keyboard shortcut that lets you navigate to tabs.
Is that an option on Command Tab?
Nope. Hang on. Nope. 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 I don't want to do that. Well, speaking of keyboard shortcuts, I just reminded myself of another one. You notice that obviously there's my daily folder. Then there's Yahoo, Google Maps, YouTube, Wikipedia, and then another folder. Well, the ones that aren't folders, if you want to quickly navigate to those sites without having to click on them, Command 1, Command 2, Command 3, Command 4. So if I want to go to Google Maps, Command 2 takes me to Google Maps because that's the second one. If I want to go to YouTube, Command 3 takes me to YouTube because that was the third one. Got it? Yes. The old Shift command, not working. Shift command, left, right arrow, not working for me.
Shift command
Bracket. Shift command bracket works. Shift command bracket, left and right bracket. We'll go through
That's
that.
forward and backward shifted.
Okay.
Must be a new preference setting because the arrows work for me.
Oh, now it's working. It wasn't at first. Yeah. Oh, you know what it is? Sometimes, I think I know why. Sometimes when you're on a site with a video, the video becomes the focus and the keyboard commands don't work for the page, they work only for the thing that's on the page. So because I was on YouTube, it wasn't working. If I go off YouTube, the arrows work. When I go back to YouTube, they stop working because there's something on that page that's using Command Shift arrows. All right.
What was the command that you were going to use to move from one tab to another?
Command Shift, left, right arrows, or brackets. Alrighty, next up. It's more just a point of, hey, did you know? Hey, did you know that iBooks, which originally was only on iOS, it was only on the iPad, only on the iPhone, is now on the Mac, under Mavericks. So iBooks is an ebook reader. And of course, it lets you get your purchase books, but that's really not what I use it for. I don't read books in the iBooks app. What I use iBooks for, more importantly, is testing EPUBs that I've created in InDesign or any other, well, in my case, InDesign, or any other program to create an EPUB in. So if you export an EPUB from InDesign or Pages or whatever your EPUB publisher is, you can drag it on top of the iBooks app and test everything. Make sure it all works. So for example, this EPUB didn't come from the iBook store. It's one I created with InDesign. So if I open it up, no, I don't want to sign in right now. Can I just look at it? Thank you. This will let me navigate and test this EPUB without me having to put it up somewhere and download it and all that. So this EPUB was actually created with InDesign that I'm actually able to go through and test. Speaking of which, this looks like an older version. Let me go grab a newer version of this. Here, I just want to show off one EPUB feature. It would be by name, demo files, CC, and here it is. Let me drag the EPUB on top of iBooks. That's the newer version of this. And this one has a footnote in it. Because now InDesign has an option, if you've used a footnote and you export it out as an EPUB, instead of it navigating to where the footnote is, which can be distracting while you're reading, it has an option for pop-up. So I wanted to test that feature. So rather than me having to export and put it on my phone or my iPad, I just did it right in the iBooks app, as we just saw, and I was able to test it and make sure it worked. So I don't, like I said, I don't use it for reading or buying books or whatever. I love it for testing EPUBs that I create right here on my Mac. Now, if you are interested in reading books, obviously from here you can go to the iBook store and it'll start showing you books you can buy and download and read. And the thing that's cool about this is that if you buy it in one device, and you've got your settings set properly in all your devices, it will show up in all your devices. So if I buy a book here, or even if I don't, and I start reading a book here, and I go to my iPad and open up iBooks, it will show me the same book and show me where I left off. And I can keep reading. So that is the one advantage. Having it now on everything means that no matter where I start reading, I can continue and pick it up from there. Okay, back to the library. And speaking of picking things up that you bought or downloaded on other devices, let's go back to System Preferences for a minute. And let's go to App Store. And this is the one I was thinking of. Automatically download apps purchased on other Macs for the Mac App Store. And for iTunes, content. So iOS apps, books, songs, so forth and so on. If you go to your preferences for iTunes, to the store, you can say automatically download music and apps purchased on your other devices. Download them on this device. So if I go buy a song on my phone while I'm out and about, with that checked, when I get back, that song's here.
But the apps that you pay for can only be downloaded on that particular device.
That has never been the case. Apps have always been on all your devices. Songs recently have now been, of course, well, songs were actually available on all your devices, but they made it easier to get them. And now the same thing for movies. So your movies, if it's a licensed properly movie with a proper studio, it will be on all your devices. Okay, I don't want that on for this particular account, but that would do it. Oh, speaking of, so remember I started off with the do not disturb on the notification center? Well, there's more to it than that. If you go to your system preferences and you go to I'm drawing a blank on which one I want. I want the notifications, duh. If I go to notifications, here are more controls over the notification center itself. For example, which apps do what in the notification center? For example, maybe I want mail to show me I've got a new mail, but I don't want to make any noise. So I can turn off sounds for that particular one. Don't play the sounds when I get a new email message. Just display the little thing that I got an email message and that's fine. So controlling what each app does, but my favorite part of this is automatically turning on and off the do not disturb feature based on time. In other words, if you leave a Mac on in a certain part of your house and you hear it beeping all night because things are happening, sound familiar? Then say, do not disturb from whatever time to whatever time every day. And it'll just automatically go into do not disturb mode and not make any of those sounds until the next morning, whatever time you've got it set to.
You set that when you're doing a presentation?
There's no need to, because when I'm doing a presentation, I'm plugged in and it automatically turns off. But I will get to a situation where I do it, not on the Mac, but somewhere else. So when I'm doing a presentation, I'm connected to a projector. Do not disturb is automatically put on by default. Okay, I think that was it for the Mac tips that I had. Yes?
Can I ask you one?
Sure.
I just did a clean install of Mavericks.
Yep.
And I just did it. I don't see my hard drive icons.
Oh, yeah, there is. Would you like to know what it is?
I would.
That's an extra $5 fee. Just kidding. Okay, Apple, whenever you buy a new Mac, install a new operating system, your desktop's empty. They don't display any icons on your desktop. No hard drives, no servers, no CD-ROM, DVDs, nothing. That is all off by default. How do you turn it on if you're an old-time Mac user like we are, that you like seeing that stuff up there? Finder, preferences, check off the ones you want to see. So this is the way a new Mac looks. No icons. Then you're probably saying, well, how do new Mac users get to their hard drive then if they can't ever see them? Finder window. They're listed over here. Devices. Or, here's another shortcut. What if I want to get back to, I don't even see my regular hard drive in the list because it was not added as a favorite. What if I want to get to everything? Whatever's at the top of a window, the title bar, you hold down your command key Pulls down to a menu, you can go all the way back to your computer and see everything that's connected to your computer, including that hard drive that wasn't listed. So I can add that to devices. All right, but I prefer to have the icons like you do. Finder, preferences, I like to see everything.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that you use Safari for one of the features, but your primary browser is
Chrome. Mm-hmm.
Do you find Chrome, and I've heard it in media, it says it takes up a lot of space, uses a lot of memory.
Actually, it was the opposite. Back in the day when I was using Safari with all those tabs that I like to have open every day, Safari would crash on me at least once a day. And a hard crash. It would be your whole computer's frozen reboot.
Right.
I started using Chrome for that reason. Never had a problem. Now, I could probably go back to Safari at this point. That was years ago. It's probably cleaner now and better and all that, but I've never had a reason to go back. Other than Command-I. That one feature I love. But it's not worth going back for because now I'm just so used to Chrome. I will give you since we talked about browsers, different browsers, I'll give you a tip, and you talked about memory. I'll show you. I don't have Flash Player installed on my computer. I know that's weird for the Adobe guy not to have Flash Player on his computer. But again, anything that's taking up a resource that I don't need, I don't like to have it installed if I can avoid it. And I can avoid it, and here's why. So for example, if I go to Safari and I go to speedtest.net, which is a site that uses Flash. Hey, you don't have Flash Player. It requires Flash. And they're right, I don't have it installed. But if I go to Chrome and I go to speedtest.net, it works. Why? Because Chrome has Flash Player built in. So I don't need to run the extra Flash Player on my operating system because the browser I use has it and is always updating it automatically. So I never have to worry about a Flash Player update and all that. It just does it in the browser, behind the scenes. Another reason why I like Chrome.
I have to think about how to get to it because it's been a little while since I found it. But in Safari, and I'm on an earlier version, there's a preference where you can have in the main menu developer. And if you're in Safari and you come on something, in my case it's PDF files that this has been useful for. If you're in Safari and you prefer to have it the same page open in another browser, you look at the developer menu and whatever's installed on your machine, you can just choose that browser and it will automatically bring up that page in that application, the other browser.
Okay, that's cool.
And I've used it because Firefox treats PDF files better. It actually paginates them, whereas Safari doesn't. And that's been useful to me. But anyway, if you look for
So what she's referring to, if you go to Safari, in the preferences, there is the ability to turn on probably under advanced.
It's a developer menu, and the very bottom.
Right, show developer menu in menu bar. So now this is here with all kinds of advanced options, one of which being open page with another browser. And that's handy because I don't care what browser you use, Chrome, Safari, Firefox, whatever, you're always going to run into a page that works better in another browser.
Yeah.
So then this will be a quick way to open that page up in one of your other browsers.
Yeah, it's been useful to me.
Yeah. Cool. I like bonus tips. Yes.
Could you mention a few other things that you like about Chrome?
A few other things I like about Chrome. Well, number one, it didn't crash on me. Number two, yeah, that was the one that kept me in it. What do I like about it now? Flash built in. You're catching me off guard because I'm using it so long, it's hard for me to compare. On iOS, it had tabs first before Safari did. What else do I like best about it? It's a lot of probably the early reasons why I used it, Safari caught up with. So I'm trying to figure out things that I was using it for that Safari didn't do besides the crashing issue. And the later versions of Safari picked up all those features. But if you're having problems with any one browser, I recommend trying another one. So I was having problems with Safari and I tried Firefox, which I don't like at all. And I tried Chrome and stuck with it and now I love it. And I guess, like I said, at this point, yeah, I could switch back to Safari, but I'm just used to Chrome now. Go ahead.
One of the things that they've just improved in Safari, why I like Chrome before that, we have a lot more pages open, where you would save some, then Chrome would work fine, but Safari just got really slow.
Right, that's what I mean. So it was always a performance thing with me because I had a lot of things open all the time, all day long, and Chrome handled it better. Safari would crash and literally, like kernel panic, lock up my whole computer. I just had one too many lockups one day, went to Chrome and never came back.
Can you sort the bookmarks in Safari?
Can you sort the bookmarks in Safari? Under where? Where do you have them? So under the bookmark menu, under favorites. Well, you can, if there's the favorites bar. Well, first of all, here, let's do this. Let's edit bookmarks. So I only have them in the favorites bar right now, and of course I can drag them around. Is there a sort feature, meaning like sort them alphabetically or sort them somewhere? I don't think so. Does anyone know if there's a sort? Oh, yeah, I just did a drag, but is there a sort alphabetically? There's no way once you do that to put them back, other than manually. So I don't know of a way of sorting them, other than dragging them around manually. Sure.
Firefox happens to be my favorite browser.
Okay.
And the follow-up, I really appreciate knowing what you don't like.
Okay, that's easier. What I didn't like about Firefox, and still to this day, is it just felt archaic. It felt clunky, slow, bad at rendering pages, bad at rendering everything, PDFs, everything. And Chrome and Safari did a better job of both on everything I've ever tried in Firefox. The only time I go to Firefox is as a last resort, something not working in Safari or Chrome. And I will try it in Firefox just for kicks to see if it works. But no need to, because I'm happy with the other two, specifically Chrome. But Firefox was, oh my God, just of the three back when I was using and deciding, the worst. Now, and you know, Brian likes it, so it's probably good now. Just like Safari caught up, it's good now.
I learned Netscape.
So did I. You know what it is? You just said it. I learned on Netscape back in 1986 as well. And Firefox felt like it was 1986. You just said it. Back when I was using it.
Doesn't Chrome track you and monitor what you're doing a lot more than anybody else?
Does Chrome monitor or track you or monitor what you do more than anyone else?
That's what I've heard.
I don't see how, other than you turning off and on the same security things that you would want to be tracked or not tracked. So, to my knowledge, no. Now, speaking of, here's a bonus tip for all the browsers. I'm sure Firefox has it as well. If there's a situation, oh, and this is a feature I like still, but like better in Chrome than Safari. Both Safari and Chrome, and I'm sure Firefox, has what they call them different things, but like a private browsing mode, meaning I want to do a session or a page where I don't want it in my history, don't want it, I don't want it tracked in any way. All the browsers do it. The way I like it, the way Chrome does it, I like it best because you can do it without it affecting the rest of what you're doing. In other words, I want a tab that's private browsing. Anything I do in that tab doesn't get tracked. But the other pages I'm working on are fine. So if I do Command Shift, nope, I'm forgetting the shortcut. What is it? Control Shift Tab? Nope. There's a keyboard shortcut. I can do it. I'll do it from the menu. New Command Shift in. Okay, Command Shift in gives me a new tab in what they call incognito mode. So that tab, whatever I do in that tab is not being tracked, even though the other tabs are still open. In Safari, you're switching to private browsing. Now everything is private browsing that I'm doing at this point. So it's turning that mode on for the browser versus I like Chrome doing it just for a specific tab.
And does it interfere at all with being able to get into other sites or having access?
Depends on the sites, because some sites require that they be cookies and tracked and all kinds of things, so it depends on the site. So that is one thing that I can now remember that I like better.
What about virus protection? So I have to, for a long time, we didn't have to worry about that.
Question is, do you have to worry about virus protection? The minute I tell you no, you'll get one tonight. I'll just, again, you do what you want. I'll tell you what I don't have any virus programs installed. I haven't had a virus program installed probably in 20 years. So, does that mean you shouldn't have one? That's up to you.
Is there a reason why you don't use either Opera or OmniWeb as your browser?
Yes.
Satisfied with Chrome.
Well, A, I'm satisfied with Chrome. B, I consider those even lower common denominators than the top three. So I guess I use what I consider modern day browsers. And when's the last time you heard about either of those two doing anything new? It's like, to me, they're always catching up to what's been done. So that's why. And Opera, or one of them is not even supported anymore.
Are there any issues with Silverlight in any of these browsers?
Well, it's just like any other plugin. The question was, are there any problems with Silverlight in any of these browsers? Silverlight's Microsoft's multimedia plugin. So that was their version of Flash, if you want to say that. Are there any problems? Sure. Just like there are problems with anything. Are there any specific problems? I don't know.
Talking about Flash, I was on a site the other day and it required another plugin, but it was not Flash, but it was an Adobe product.
Shockwave.
What, do you remember what it was?
No, I don't.
Well, unless you can tell me what it was.
It was for, had to bring in.
Was it Air?
No, I really don't remember.
Okay, well, if you can remember, email me or put it on the IVBS and I can tell you about it. But unless you can tell me what it was, I can't answer.
I just thought it was a compliment to Flash.
It might be, and that's why I asked about Air. So if it was Air, that was traditionally a complement to Flash. Might have been Shockwave or something older. Go ahead.
Terry, have you tried NoScript plugin for Chrome?
No, I haven't. What does it do?
It's a firewall basically for the browser. It's not for the computer, but everything is turned off on the website you visit, but you option to turn things on like Java and JavaScript and things.
Yeah.
They can't run with your browser.
Okay. Of course, the plugin for Chrome is called NoScripts, and it basically what he just described is when that's on, you go to a website, it automatically turns all the things off on that website, and you manually go turn them back on. So no JavaScript, no Flash, no anything running on that site unless you tell it to run it.
Also available for Firefox.
Also available for Firefox. Okay. Moving on, because we haven't got to the iOS tips and I'm almost out of time. So very quickly, switching gears. Let's go back to Reflector here. Let's hide others. So we go out here. All right, let's see what my... Okay, so since we started with Do Not Disturb on the Mac, we'll start with Do Not Disturb on iOS. So on iOS 7, if you swipe up from the bottom, there's the little moon icon, second from the right here, this one. That is your Do Not Disturb on or off. So what's the difference? On iOS, it stops the same kinds of things, notifications from coming up, things like that. So here's my favorite use for Do Not Disturb on iOS, especially on my phone. On the iPhone, when I travel internationally, I'm in a different time zone, and most people that are my friends or family don't know that I'm in a different time zone. So I like to keep my phone on for an emergency call. What I don't want is, hey, Terry, what are you doing call at 3 in the morning? Because the answer is sleeping. So turn the phone off, then I'm missing potentially an important call. Turn the phone on mute, it's still going to buzz or do something weird. I'm going to still hear all that stuff. So Do Not Disturb on iOS has an option. If you go to here, I'll do it on the phone. It's easier to show it there. Let's go here. On the phone, settings, Do Not Disturb. I have it set for a time, so my phone, if you try and call me before 10:30 a.m., I won't receive it because I just don't take calls that early. But anyway, between midnight and 10:30, Do Not Disturb comes on this phone automatically every night. But what if I want that emergency call? Notice it says allow calls from. And by default, it's your favorites list. So anyone in your phone favorites would still ring through. Well, you might be a favorite I want to call you. That doesn't mean I want you calling me. So the tip I like is that you can change that to any one of your groups. So if you go into Address Book on your Mac, because they still don't let you do groups on your phone for some reason, and you create a group and drag people into that group, when of course your phone will sync, that group will show up and you can say, so I've created a group called, let's do File, New Group. I created a group called Can Disturb. So anyone I drag into that group, like Johnny guy we made up, when I sync my phone, anyone in that group can ring through. My daughters, the alarm company, my boss, so forth and so on. Well, the alarm company, my alarm's going off, I want the phone to ring. So that's my favorite Do Not Disturb tip on iOS 7. And by the way, that was my favorite feature of iOS 6, that it had Do Not Disturb. And now my favorite feature of iOS 7 is that you can do specific things like, actually you could do the group before, but the thing they changed in iOS 7 is this last thing at the bottom. Silence always, oh, you can't see it because this is in the way. Silence always or only when the phone is locked. So the default in iOS, there was no choice in iOS 6, it was only when the phone was locked. What that meant was, while the phone was locked off, screen off, Do Not Disturb was in effect. But if you were on an app doing something, the phone would ring, notifications would come up, everything would happen, even though Do Not Disturb was on. So the minute they added that, I switched it to always, meaning even right now, if you tried to call me, the phone would not ring, even though I've got the screen on and I'm doing something, because I don't want to be disturbed during a demo. I don't want all the notifications and text messages and things coming up like right now while I'm doing a demo. So that's why I like that preference. All right, next. I'm going to temporarily, Jack, you've got my number, right? I'm going to temporarily turn off Do Not Disturb, and Jack's going to call me. While he's going to call me, this is one of my, you get a call that you can't answer right now, and you want to let the person know, and of course this only works if they're calling you from a cell phone.
Is that your personal or your work cell?
I only have one now, so it's the 631 number.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah, I got two of those, so one guess.
Should only be one.
Doesn't work, but I'll try the other one.
Well, I don't know what the other one would be. I only have one 631 number. 6316. That helps. Okay. If you can figure out the other three, go for it. Okay, so Jack's calling me. I can't take the call right now. I tap the message button. It mutes the phone, even though it's still ringing on his end. And it says, can't talk right now, your choice. I'm in a meeting, I'll call you later, I'll call you later. I'm doing a shooting, I'll call you later. And they added in recently in iOS 7, custom. So you could actually type in a custom message right there on the spot. And it would send it to him after it muted my phone immediately without me having to do anything else. So that new custom thing got added later, but you had your choice. Now, where are those? Like, what if I want to make something very specific? I'm practicing piano, I'm doing whatever. I want to say something that's specific. Settings, out of this. And I can never remember where certain things are. I believe this one is under maybe general. No. Not general, it must be under, could it be cellular? Maybe. Oh, where did they hide it? Not cellular. Oh, I know where. Phone, duh. Under phone, you have respond with text, and that's where you put in your message. You only get 3, so choose carefully. You can put in 3 custom responses, but then now you have custom as a 4th choice, whereas before you didn't. So you can change these to say whatever you want. And it will always preface whatever you say with can't talk right now. So you don't, I originally didn't know that. So mine said, can't talk right now, can't talk right now, I'm in a meeting. Because I put the can't talk right now in there. All right, so respond with text. Next. While we're in settings, I used to have, this is a 64 gig version now. I used to have a 32 that was always full. It was always running out of space. And of course, then you start thinking, okay, what could be taking up space? Movies, pictures, apps. Maybe the apps are taking up space. I don't know which ones. And I'm frantically trying to delete things to make more room. So this is my favorite iOS 7 updated feature, because it was there before, but they updated what it does. And that is figuring out what's taking up the space. So if I go to General, About is what you would normally think it would be under, and that just shows you about your phone, like how many songs you have, how many videos you have, how many photos you have. But that doesn't tell me how much space they're taking. Like, are the videos small or are they large? Are they taking up gigs or megabytes? I don't know. So go back out of General and tap on Usage. When you tap on Usage, it will take about, depending on the size of your phone and what's on it. In my case, it takes maybe a minute or 2. But that little wheel that's spinning will eventually populate with a list of everything that's taking up space on my phone from the largest to the smallest. And for example, the Photos app will be number 1 or number 2 because I have a lot of photos on the phone. And that's okay. I don't mind the space that it's taking, but I want to see everything else that's taking space and how much space it's taking. So like I said, this takes about a minute on my phone because of all the stuff I've got on there. Let me see if I got another tip that I can show on the iPad while we're waiting. On the iPad, let's bring up the bottom here again. You've got, and it's hard for me to show because it's on the phone as well. Okay, let's go to settings. And under the general settings, on the right-hand side, you've got lock. You've got a choice to use the side switch. There's a extra side switch on your iPad. There's the volume up and down, and then there's a switch on the side that goes up or down. You can toggle what that switch will do. So by default, I believe it's, I don't remember now. It's like, I can't remember what the default is anymore. Mute. Okay, so mute. So that means that if you want to just mute your iPad, you flip the switch and your iPad's muted, it won't make any sounds. But back in the early days of the iPad, it was lock rotation. And so people complained when Apple switched it from one to the other, saying, no, I want lock rotation, no, I want mute, no. So they just made it a preference. You make that switch do whatever you want. So I prefer lock rotation because I have a quick way to get to mute. When I want to mute my iPad, swipe up, tap the last thing on the bottom right there. Oh, waiting for your screen to catch up. On the bottom right, that little speaker is mute. So when you toggle the preference, then that would be lock rotation because the button would be mute. So it switches back and forth there as well. All right, while we're here, under the control center, there are buttons to quickly get to the camera. Okay, we'll come back to that. Well, actually, we'll finish it. Quick buttons on the right to quickly get to the camera app and the stopwatch. So if you want to get to the clocks app and time something very quickly, you can swipe up and get right to that. And I'm waiting for your screen to catch up. Now, on the right-hand side, while we're waiting for the left side to catch up, my three largest apps of space. Stash is a Photos app. Photo and Camera, obviously, is a Photos app. And Messages. Messages is taking 4 gigs. What? Those are text messages. Why is it taking so much space? Because every time somebody sends you a picture or a movie, or you send one, it's stored in the app until you delete it. So every message that you've ever received that had a picture or a movie or a sound in it, if it's still in your messages, it's taking up space. So you can go and either clear the attachments out or just delete the whole conversation if you don't need the conversation and start fresh. All right, so if you're ever wondering what's taking up all that space on your limited device, 16, 32, 64 gig, this list will show you in priority size order what you might want to start looking at deleting or chopping down some space. So music is taking up 2.7 gigs. I might start thinking, do I need all the songs on my phone? Do I need 2.7 gigs worth? Probably not. So I might want to start deleting some of those songs off. Not built in. There are apps that let you do it. Okay, so that was my usage tip. We did the do not disturb tip. All right, let's do some typing tips real quick. All right, so I'm going to bring up the email. And I want to create a new email, and I want to, we talked about this tip, I think, it was one of Steve's tiny tips before, but I'll repeat it. This is Sunday. Now notice when I almost get to the end of Sunday, it proposes the capitalization. It proposes the right way to spell Sunday. Some people, and this is a tip, a bonus tip, some people, whatever it's proposing, don't want that. In other words, they want to type it the way they're typing it. And they're like, well, I don't want the correction. How do I get rid of the correction? Well, notice the correction has a little X to the right of it. You tap that little X, you're saying, let me keep typing it the way I'm typing it. You tap the space bar now, without even finishing it, it will finish it with the correction. Now, let me go back. Let's say I typed it the right way. If I now want a period, a space, and shift to do the next sentence, instead of me typing a period, a space, and pressing the shift button, double tap the space bar. Double tap the space bar, we'll put the shift, put the period in, put the space in, and put the shift down for the next sentence. This is the, I want to say 18th. How do I get to my numbers? Well, now wait, you're waiting on the screen. I'm done waiting on you. Here, we'll push the waves over quickly. Airplane. Let's see if I can do it on here real quick.
While this is coming up, the proposal that's coming up that you don't like, is there a way to do it from a location where it's typing a certain word and everything?
Yeah, I know. There was a way, I'm trying to remember, there was a way to get to your autocorrect list, and I can't remember what it is now. Hang on. My AirPlay went away completely. Let's put it back on. There we go. Back to mail. Okay, so let's say I want a number here. Obviously, tapping the 1, 2, 3 key lets me get to the numbers, and then type the number, and then I got to tap the alpha to get back to the alpha again. My favorite tip from day one on iPhone or iOS: hold down the button for the thing you want. Don't tap it, hold it down. And then it will temporarily display whatever that is, in this case numbers, so you can slide over to the thing you want and let go. So I want a 1. Hold down the 1, 2, 3. Don't tap it, hold down, slide up to 1, let go. When I type the 1 and let go, it switches back to the alpha. Yes. I want an 18 now. 8, back to the letters. TH. This is the 18. Now, here's a bonus one. What if you want an accent character? Like I want to type an E with an accent. Hold down the letter. That'll show you all your accents. Slide over to the one you want. Okay? New in, I believe, 7 or 6. I can't remember which one. I believe it's 7. Apple used to make it incredibly hard to insert a photo into an email because you had to start with the photo. It was just crazy. If you wanted a photo right now, you'd have to go to the Photos app, select the photo you want, and in this case, since I've already started the email, I'd copy it. But before, you'd go to the photos and then say, I want to email this photo. Then it would bring up a new email and put it in there. That's backwards for the way we think about everything else. On your Mac, you start with the email and say, oh yeah, I want a picture right now, and you go get the picture. They finally made it work that way here as well. So if I tap where I want the picture to be, that will bring up the select copy paste menu, but there's an arrow to the right of it. And if I tap the arrow, insert photo or video. And then that will bring up your camera roll or your photos, so you can go find the one you want and insert. Finally, it used to bug me to no end that it didn't work that way before. All right. How many of you use your iPhone to take pictures? iPhone is one of the most popular cameras on the planet for photography. It's the most used device on Flickr. Not your DSLR, not your point and shoot, iPhone. So I'll give you some iPhone camera tips. Let's bring up the camera. And this is one that a friend of mine actually called me about the other day. Called me. He doesn't have an iPhone, but his friend brought one over. And his friend said, I wish the iPhone camera had a zoom. And my friend said, well, he doesn't have one, but it's like, I'm sure it does. They sat there. They could not find it. Well, I know. I'm telling you the story. Because think about it, though. You're new. You've never seen this device before. You just got a new one. You bring up the camera. Where does it say zoom? Where's the help screen? Right, that's my point. So we take it for granted because we know how to do it or we figured it out or whatever. But you got to remember, there are people that are brand new to this device every day. So for those of you who don't know, who are embarrassed to say it because everybody's making fun of you right now. You know how you pinch to make a picture bigger? Well, or a reverse pinch, you do the same thing for the zoom. So reverse zoom to bring up the zoom bar, and then you can move it with your finger after that. So, but you have to do the initial pinch or it's not there. So I wasn't laughing at them or upset with them. I got it. It's like, yeah, I guess if you didn't think to pinch, you would never know that the zoom was there. Yeah, but that's only after you start. So while we're at it, tap to focus. So if I want to focus on a particular person, tap to focus. But there's a bonus one. Hold down. And that will give you auto exposure, autofocus lock. So what does that mean? That means now no matter what I point this at, it won't get brighter or darker because I've locked the exposure for this one picture I'm about to take. Press and hold to get auto exposure, autofocus lock. Right, you point and hold. Now you got your auto exposure lock. See, even Jamie learned something new today. What do you do with HDR? I don't know. Never tried it with HDR on. All right. Speaking of HDR, on the iPhone 5S, HDR is auto. I mean, it can be on auto. On the previous iPhones, it was on or off. So what is HDR? What is it? It's off, on, or auto on the 5S. On, or auto, well, let's say on, means that it will take 2 pictures every single time. So it'll take a bright version and you'll get 2 pictures by default at the end when you snap it. One will be the HDR, one will be the normal picture. What's HDR? HDR is high dynamic range. Typically, it takes 3 exposures to make an HDR. I think Apple's kind of cheating the HDR thing with only 2, but typically it takes 3 or more. What that means is if I was shooting it with my regular camera, I would shoot a normal exposure, the way it would normally be exposed, one that's 2 stops darker, and one that's 2 stops brighter. So I'd have a very bright picture, a normal picture, and a very dark picture. And using an HDR program like Photoshop, I combine all 3 exposures together. So that will give me a better exposure in the darker areas of the photo and a more normal exposure in the areas that were too bright. So for example, someone's sitting in front of a window. Your camera is trying to figure out what to do because the person's too dark, the window's too bright, doesn't know what to do. HDR should give you a better picture. So that's the best way to explain it. When you've got a challenging light situation, just turn on HDR. Or on the 5S, just leave it on auto. All right, while we're at it, you can swipe between modes. So that's square, and here's my panel tip. Switching the panel, maybe not. It's frozen. Just thinking about it. I think my camera app's crapping out. Try it. Relaunch it. Camera, panel. Okay. In panel mode, you get the ability to take a panorama. So it's going from left to right. So if I tap the button, it's like almost recording a video. It's just going to sit there until I move the phone. So as I move the phone, it's taking a panorama photo of everything I go across until I stop. So now, there's the panorama. Oh, wait, hang on. He's asking for a password to get back to the computer. Not a video. There it is. Okay. All right, but that's been there a while. What the thing that people miss is that when you're in panel, what if you don't want to go left to right for whatever reason? Some people say, well, I need to go from right to left. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, tap, and that'll switch it. So now you can go that way for whatever reason you needed to go that way for. Tap to switch it back. Okay, so those are couple quick tips. Let's see, we're out of time. We're way out of time. All right, let me do one more. One more quick one. All right, here's just a quick one. You want to take a screenshot. On your Mac, Command Shift 3, Command Shift 4, been taking screenshots for years. How you do it on one of these? Power, top button, and home button on the front. Just took a screenshot. And it will be in your camera roll of whatever was on the screen. So it'll be a picture of my home screen now on the camera roll. So just hold those two together. Front button, power button. That's your shutter. Just press both of them at the same time. All right, that's it. We're out of time. Now, there are some tips that I did not get a chance to share, but if you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Terry White Tech Blog, there is a new video that I just posted yesterday called 10 iPhone Tips and Tricks. So a couple of the ones I just showed you and some more are in that video.